There we go. Hello, I'm Joshua Mackey with Geeks of Color and say, hi, how are you doing?
I'm doing really, 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 really well. Hi, Joshua.
Love the energy. That's what we are here for. And of course, to talk to you about the new Georgia project, as well as its new innovative game, This Is Not a Game. That's a great title, and we're going to learn all about it because I recognize that some fans of Geeks of Color, they're not familiar with the new Georgia project. Could you tell us a little bit about what NGP does?
Yeah, so we're probably best known for two things. One, our founder, Stacey Abrams. And my dear friend, but also two, the fact that we've helped over almost 600,000 young people and Black and Latino folks and Asian Americans register to vote in all of 159 of Georgia's counties. And I feel like that work is super, super impactful when you think about the fact that, for example, the results of the 2020 elections, the highest number of people participated in Georgia's elections ever, all time, 7 million people. And the margin of victory between the successful campaign, which was President Biden, and the losing campaign, which is President Trump, the margin of victory was just over 11,000 votes. So that's 0.0015 percentage points. And I feel like us registering 600,000 Black folks might have had something to do with it.
Just a little push right there, right?
Just a little, put a battery in the back of the change that was coming to our state anyway. So while we're best known for that, I feel like at the core of all of our work is our very bold, very aggressive research agenda, our polling agenda, and the work that we do around innovation and trying to change the culture of democratic participation, and not big D democratic like the Democratic Party, but small d democratic like democratic processes like one person, one vote.
Right. And I mean, so much innovation, so much progression, just moving forward with what NGP is doing right now. And I recognize that with your work, you're helping communities of color who've been historically disenfranchised when we're talking about civic engagement, education, voter registration, so on and so forth. What are some specific ways in which the New Georgia Project is striving to resolve that?
Yeah, I think that, our goal is to build what we call super voters, right? And these are folks who vote in every election in which they're eligible. We want folks to show up to vote not only informed, but also really, really confident. Our research shows us that oftentimes, like one of the reasons why people don't show up to vote, particularly women and femmes and young people and new Americans, like people who've just become citizens, is because they don't really know what to expect when they show up. Like, what are these machines gonna look like? I keep hearing about voter suppression, like what, they are working really hard to try to criminalize voting in Georgia. Like, are the people gonna pull up on me, right? I know people who come to vote who just become US citizens and they bring all of their documents, naturalization certificate, passport, driver's license, all of those things, just above and beyond because of the confusion and because of the fear around participating in our elections. And so we work to help people overcome that by, again, giving them the information that they need, and then also talking to them about how powerful they are, right? And I'll be honest, like they say, winning begets winning, right? Like it's easier to make money when you have money. And I think that Georgia voters, particularly young voters, have seen firsthand the power of that vote, and it's made it a lot easier. Because not only, that 0.0015 percentage point was able to elect President Biden. This is Iago, his partner, Othello, team do too much is in the building, and I apologize.
Welcome.
Right, but because Georgia voters basically helped elect a president, there's this sort of feeling like, oh, okay. Especially in Georgia being America's newest swing state, and knowing that the swing counties or the battleground counties in our state are actually made up of people of color, Black and brown folks. It's what it's called the rural Black belt. Those are the swing counties in our new swing state. There's a recognition about the power of their vote in this moment. And then to turn around 9 weeks later and elect Georgia's first African-American United States Senator, and to elect a 33-year-old Jewish kid from the North Atlanta suburbs, which is a huge deal because, again, most of the Senate was born before there were even 50 states, right? And so you send someone that's 33 years old to the Senate and they're thinking about the future of work. They're taking climate change seriously because they might want to have kids. Mm-hmm. You are almost out of here. So I understand why you want to be a climate science denier, right? And because of that and the balance of power in the Senate, over 80% of American households got some sort of economic relief because of the American Rescue Plan. Georgia voters did that, right? And so when we think about our campaigns, when we think about our programs, it's yes, obviously we're focused on voter registration. Obviously, we're focused on voter education. Obviously, we're focused on voter mobilization. But the ways that we do that, I think, are way more sophisticated and, quite frankly, way more interesting and way more fun than your traditional civil rights organization.
I mean, honestly, and y'all are bringing the innovation and fun with your next venture. This is not a game. And love to understand, like, this next step in civic engagement, education, and just like initiatives. Can you tell us a little bit more about what This Is Not a Game actually is all about?
Right. Well, I mean, as I've mentioned before, we do a lot of research, we do a lot of polling, a lot of focus groups. And so one of the things that we've been studying in this moment is adult education. Like, how do grown folks learn, right? Like, once the brain stops being super moldable because you're a kid and you're in school 7-8 hours a day, like, how do adults learn new skills? And we've been fascinated with the idea of sort of gaming as a play tool, like, or gaming as an educational tool. I think B, stuff like my 80-year-old, very African mama spends several hours a day on playing Candy Crush, right? And she is not alone because it is by far one of the most popular game, if not the most popular game, mobile video game in the Google Play and in the App Store. So like the Candy Crushes and the Bejeweled, these sort of addictive match 3 puzzle games, felt like, well, we need to be able to get in those phones. As I mentioned before, we've registered almost 600,000 people to vote. And as a part of our voter registration efforts, we train our organizers to ask people for their phone numbers so we can follow up and remind them about elections. We can follow up if there are any issues, if they get purged from the voter rolls, and the state does a trash job of letting them know. Those are all things that actually happen. Those are all things that we actually have to do. So we say we have 500,000 phone numbers of Georgians. And so we're not going to be like U2. Remember when Apple just basically took everybody's space and put the U2 album on there without permission? Yes. We're not going to do that. Right. But it is a match 3 puzzle game that we're hoping is cool and interesting and slightly addictive, but not so much that you can't get your work done, child.
Because that's important.
Right. Because that's important. But it'll allow us to send push notifications when the voter registration deadline approaches. It'll allow folks on municipal elections when it's like school board and city council, and those aren't races where there's a lot of money for people to advertise and be in your face the same way that there is with the presidential election, that we can remind people about what it is that they do, why we should care, and why they need to go out and go vote. I think the thing that's most exciting for us is thinking about design as we move forward, right? So right now it's just, peaches and basic stuff, but version 2.0, which we're already working on, lemon pepper wings, peach drinks, Georgia Bulldogs, things that are very Georgia iconography. We're very excited about it. But also it's going to allow us to pilot this wait time app. And so basically people will give us permission. They'll share their locations. And so Georgia has become infamous for the way that they disrespect Black voters in particular communities. Folks having to wait 8, 9, 10 hours in line. Okay, sir. Folks having to wait several hours in line in order to go vote. And I think that what normally happens is that you've been waiting in line for like 2 or 3 hours, and then you realize like, oh, this is not right. Let me find a phone number. Somebody's got to be doing something about it. You search, you find the phone number, you call the hotline, you lodge the complaint, and then we deploy resources to help fix whatever the issue is. We're hoping to cut that time all the way down based off of our game players and folks who've downloaded some of our mobile apps, and about people sharing their location. And we have the GPS coordinates for all 3,000 of Georgia's polling locations. So if our phones are in line for 45 minutes, an hour, 2 hours at Mulberry Elementary School, we're going to deploy someone to go see what's going on. Are the machines down? Do we need to call the county, right? Like, is something more sinister happening? Do we need to call the press, right? Like, do we need to send lawyers to like run down to the county courthouse to file a temporary restraining order to keep the polling location open for a few hours so that people can vote? Like, whatever it is, we are hoping to recruit NGP members and supporters, or just people who download the game and are looking for another match 3 puzzle game, to help us make it easier for every Georgian to participate in every election.
I mean, I don't even know if innovative is even the right word to talk about how amazing this game sounds. I mean, and even though I'm not a Georgian, I am a fellow Southerner from North Carolina. I appreciate, the iconography that you're putting in there. So just gotta throw it out there.
100%. And we have deep relationships with organizations in North Carolina. There's the New North Carolina Project, obviously. There's Action NC. Like, there are folks around the country that are trying to figure this out. Not because anybody believes that voting is the magic bullet. We don't lie to the people. Like, that's not what we do. But in our quest to build the world that we think we deserve to live in, our families deserve to live in, voting is an important and necessary tool. And I'm not leaving any tool on the table. I'm not leaving any weapon on the table that will help us build and defend and fight for the America that my family deserves to live in.
I love that. And I think with so many different elements on this game, I bet you it's probably hard to choose what might be your favorite one, but I gotta ask, what's your favorite element of this game, whether it's in version 1 or the upcoming version 2?
Yeah, I mean, I think in version 1, can I be very honest with you? And I'm thinking that Geeks of Color will feel me on this. That it exists. That it got approved by Apple and Google Play, and it is in the stores. Like, first of all, I was like, oh, I got an idea. Let's see if we can find some developer homies to work with us on it. And then, 10 years later, right? Like, I mean, it didn't take us 10 years. It took like 6 months, but we've been working on this for some time now, and like, it's a real boy. It exists, it's accessible, people can grab a hold of it, and I'm just really proud of it. So that's my favorite thing in version 1. Version 2, now that we are clearing all of the intellectual property hurdles, because let me tell you, Stacey Abrams, Senator Warnock, and Outkast, they all very much defend their image. And I was like, but it's me, girl. And they don't care. And neither do their lawyers. And neither do their lawyers. And so I'm excited about version 2, just to get better with graphics. But again, to lean into more of the Georgia story, and to, have people play this hopefully addictive match 3 puzzle game where we sneak in voting messages, and you get to match, pictures of Andre 3000.
I mean, by all means. Why not? What else can you ask for? Now, and it's good to know it's out now, and we'll make sure that everyone's fully aware of that when we come through with releasing and chatting about this further. But I want to know, what's your hope for this? This is not a game.
I give you the third thing I like is the name. But my hope, my ambition is that one, we inspire other justice organizations and folks who just want to do good to think about gaming not as like a frivolous activity, but as a way to continue to recruit, to bring people into your organizing mission, to your political mission, whatever it is that you're doing. I think that we got laughed at a lot in the beginning because people just didn't know and understand what it is that we're trying to do. And so, yeah, I want there just to be more. I think also that people are used to like civil rights workers and like activists and like Black Lives Matter leaders or whatever, like covered in ashes, sad on TV crying, right? And, you know, yelling and cussing at white folks and or the police. And I want to be absolutely clear. All of that is necessary. All of that exists. And I'm not passing judgment at all. And what I also know is that Black joy is a renewable resource. It is something that we can continue to tap into as we try to power our movements, right? That people like being members of the New Georgia Project. People like volunteering with us. People like turning up with us. Each of our membership meetings, each of our meetings that we have, if I'm going to have you come out of your house, we're going to have food, music, and childcare, right? And like that is just a feature of how we organize and how we do our meetings in person. And so again, thinking about video games and gaming in general as another way to bring joy to difficult work is super important. And I want people to take that away from it. It might not be video games for you all. Y'all might, you know, do TikTok dances. Like TikTok choreography might be like how we save Roe versus Wade. I don't know, right? But I am committed to trying to figure out how to tap into joy and inspiration as a way to grow our movement.
And I think that you tapping into joy is going to definitely showcase itself when folks get to be able to download this game. And I can co-sign Black joy any day of the week. So I support that one.
I love it. I love it. Me too.
100%. And so I know my co-sign is one thing, but do you also think that there will be other organizations who will want to recreate this or make their own? And do you think it's even possible for them to think outside the box when it comes to civic engagement work like this?
I certainly hope so. And here's why. We are in a moment right now where we are absolutely fighting the rise of like wannabe fascists and fighting the rise of authoritarianism, right? Like we're talking about a whole president that oversaw an insurrection at the Capitol, oversaw a coup attempt because he lost an election, couldn't sit with the results, just couldn't. And then and it all came down to Georgia because they thought that Georgia was a reliably red state. So you would hear him on the phone like, no, not Georgia, not Georgia. Anywhere but Georgia. I definitely didn't lose Georgia, sir. You did, right? And so as I think about, you know, folks, okay, so after the January 6th insurrection, it was a failed murder plot. They came to kill the Vice President of the United States and the Speaker of the House. They came to stop the Electoral College vote count from happening, right? Like I need for folks to sit with that. And because their failed coup attempt, their failed murder plot failed, then they went back to state legislatures all around the country and introduced over 400 anti-voting bills in 49 states in 2021, right? Now, they only passed in 19 states, including the state of Georgia, but how many more do you need? We're headed into the November 22 midterms, right? If it doesn't have to be our 19, what if it's 9? where the Republicans have given themselves all the tools that they need to overturn the results of elections that they don't like. And let me also tell the Geeks of Color audience this: I use Republicans as a descriptor because I believe in being factual, right? The New Georgia Project is a nonpartisan organization, and we are aggressively so, right? I don't care who you vote for, right? The organization doesn't care who you vote for. I definitely care. Get in my DMs if you want to know, right? But we are at a moment right now where we are watching the browning of America, where America is becoming a multiracial, multi-ethnic, multilingual sort of center-left country. And there are some people that are terribly excited about it and that are building things and building systems for the new America, where it's super multicultural. And then there are people who are terrified by it and are doing everything in their power to try to make America great again, which means bring us back 50 years, bring us back 100 years, where women didn't have the rights that they have, where people of color didn't have the rights that they have. So this is not a game, because they are coming for our democratic systems. The way that we hire and fire elected officials, the way that we make decisions about how we spend our tax dollars. And let's be clear, that's our money, right? And so I'm hoping that people think about all of the things. Again, if it's TikTok dances, if it's doing recipes, I don't know what it is, but we need to all figure out a way to contribute to the protection of American democracy as we know it and as we want it to be, because there's some folks right here that are mad. They're big mad. And they are willing to burn it all down.
And I mean, honestly, with the New Georgia Project, and this is not a game, letting people know that this is not a game. I mean, honestly, you're about to find some great progress, it seems like. And so I'd have to ask, now that the game is out, you're talking about it at South by Southwest. I mean, we're talking about it here, Geeks of Color. What's next for the New Georgia Project?
Well, I mean, we're gonna have, so the launch at South by Southwest is a soft launch, partnering with Carefree Black Girls. Super excited about that. Backyard barbecue at and by backyard, I mean the Sheraton Hotel's backyard. Not my backyard, because if it was my backyard, it would just be us. But 10 Black girl indie musicians. So like, that's gonna be fun and interesting. But we're gonna do a major launch in Atlanta later in the spring, right before the May 24th primaries. But then we get to it. The primary elections are on May 24th. The general election is in November 8th. We got a lot of disinformation to try to combat. We got a lot of people to register to vote. There's definitely more ideas for mobile apps and games that are coming. They are in the very early stages. And so I know how y'all do. And I'll be like, we got this coming. And people will be like, what? Where is it though? I remember when you were with Joshua, you said, right? So we have more games, more mobile apps that, again, designed to demystify how campaigns work, demystify how elections work, and talk about power, all of the things.
All of the things. I love it. I'm glad you shouted that out about, getting online, because Twitter is ruthless, but Black Twitter is even more so.
Listen, you have zero room for error.
Well, honestly, I don't see that there are any misses in the future. And with This Is Not a Game coming through and all that you've already done so far for Georgians, but also just advocating for democracy here within the US, I mean, it seems like there's just nowhere but up from here. So, and with that, Insay, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for speaking with me and for our Geeks of Color audience. I know they will definitely appreciate it. And it's great to know that This Is Not a Game is out and people can go download it and play to the heart's content and learn all things civic engagement.
Thank you. This is fun.
Thank you. All right. And that's actually a cut, and we'll just edit that part out.